So what up, guys? Freaking Royal Madman back here at it again. Obviously we got the wagon in here. So before we get into what's going on, the silver car, it's got a bunch of stuff that's still got to be done to it, like interior. It's more like cosmetic things. Car's still doing awesome. Still been driving it back and forth to work. I'll let you guys know as soon as I start running into any kind of issues. S13 swap on the front, LCAs, money. Drift car, I'll film that. It's gonna get tuned in the next couple of days. Regardless if I end up going to park on the 7th. If not, there's another track day on the 27th. One of those 2 days, whether this weekend or that coming weekend, I'm going to be at one of them. Seat time. But let's talk about what's going on here and why this is in here. So some of you may know 82 Corolla Wagon on Instagram. She is my wife. This was the first Corolla that we picked up. I actually bought it specifically for her. I wasn't into Corollas at the time. This was like ages ago. And it was the first one that ever got built. At the time, was the car probably like a 6-year-old build, something like that. I could be a little bit off. It could be a little bit older, a little bit less than that. But everything underneath the car is pretty much brand new. Brakes, bearings, seals, just pretty much just about anything you can think of. And we can go into more detail about the interior and what's underneath the car and what's running on this. This was more of like an OE like style, or OE plus, like old school build. So that's a whole different video if you guys are actually interested in that. Right now, we're just going to talk about what the car is, and we're going to talk about the motor, and what we're going to be doing to it, or more specifically, what she's going to be doing to it. So, we'll start with the car. It's a 1982 TE72 Corolla. Was an automatic car. It's been swapped to 5-speed. And it has its original matching numbers. Not that it matters, but matching numbers 3TC in it. But it is not how it came from the factory. So we'll just take a quick look at it really quick, and then I'll tell you guys about it, because it does not look like anything too special. I mean, if you know what you're looking at and know what to look for, and some of you guys know me and know that this isn't just a regular freaking motor hidden in this car. So like I said, it is the original 3TC, but it was also the very first motor that I ever built too. So this has 87 mil Wiseco pistons in it, Eagle connecting rod, polished push rods, polished valve train, rocker stoppers, ARP head studs, Cometic head gasket, polished intake, big port, polished intake manifold, Weber 3236, I think it has a couple other goodies. I just can't remember right off the top of my head. But that's the brute of it. So it's a pretty much fully forged bottom end, stout top end. It's got a little timing tweak to it to give it a little more oomph, but this car gets after it. Old school pace setter headers, full custom exhaust. Catch can was pretty recent because we kept a little bit of oil. If any of you guys own 3TCs, you know that oil kind of gets in and out of there. So some MSD street firewire. These are probably actually the most recent things on the car. But you can tell it doesn't really look like anything special. She daily drives this car. This is her daily driver. So it's a little overbuilt for being a daily driver, but she loves it, and this car is probably the most reliable thing that we have, other than my year and a half old build drift car, my first 4A GE swap. So now that you know a little bit of the history of the car, the motor, we'll go ahead and close this. So we'll go ahead and we'll get into what we're going to be doing to this car. More specifically, what my wife is going to be doing to this car. So we'll start with this box. So we got a freaking ram air filter. This thing's pretty neat. I run a Piper Cross. Actually, I'll show you. I run a Piper Cross, which I really like it on my quad carbs. But it's got like twist. Where are we at? Right here. It's got like twist clips in it, 3 of them, and then it attaches down at the bottom. This ram air one's pretty neat. Obviously, this is specific for the carbs, if you haven't got a hint yet. But pretty budget friendly air filter, well put together. It's got like a metal mesh in there to make sure it doesn't collapse in on itself. And the cool part, the part I think is neat about it, is the way the plate is fastened together. It's almost like a Zeus clip. Essentially, you just push on that guy. Just like that. That was pretty cool when she ordered this. Then you just push back down on them. And it comes off. She's got 70 mil stacks. A lot of this stuff she ordered, it's probably going to give it away. A lot of this stuff she ordered from the UK. So some SU. I just gave it away. Well, there you go. We're going to SUs. So 70 mil stacks. Nothing too fancy. Pretty cool. She's got all the gaskets. Linkage kit. Now she's done all the measurements and basically all the research on this, and I'll go over what she said and the reason why she's doing it here in a minute. Some cool stuff though, for sure. I'm a little jelly. here's all the old stuff. But we'll pull these guys out. So she's going to twin SU. Twin SU carburetors. Fully rebuilt by her. She took all the time, went through all these. So funny story. We were at, what would you call it? Like a swap meet just outside of town. And it was like a hot rod shop meet. And I seen some air horns that I really wanted. These were sitting next to him. I kind of just looked past him. And, you know, because I was there on a, you know, I was a man on a mission looking for, you know, air horns, some cool vintage air horns. And she spotted these, and I knew what they were because of like 240Zs and stuff. I grew up around, you know, older cars and things, and I was just like, oh, whatever. But she offered the guy, I think it was like $25 or $50. We actually got two sets. And this is the set she ended up going with and rebuilding. But funny little story. She got up like dirt cheap and then started cleaning them up and polishing them, going through them, reading all the information about them. But it's gonna be a cool little setup, little oil dipstick. So there's one. Then there's two. I wish I had bolts. I don't have hardware for all this stuff right now. Everything's all polished and slick, but I mean, you get the idea. Have some sweet polished SU carburetors with some 70 mil stacks hidden underneath that sick freaking filter. But yeah, there you go. There you go, guys. The next project in the garage. Twin SU carburetors. She wants to try it for, she thinks she's going to be able to get a little bit more power and better fuel efficiency. She also has, after she gets those running, she will have a cam to play around with too. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I've never done SU cars before. She's never done SU cars before. I think they're going to sound super sick, super deep. I've heard videos and stuff. They sound super cool. And just to go with like the old school vibe of the car, I mean, it's not pretty. We might do a little bit of cleanup to the engine bay, but the engine bay is probably not going to change much from what it is now. One, she daily drives the shit out of this car. When I mean daily, I mean she's been driving this for the past 6+ years or since the car has been done. So it really has not had any downtime other than when it was built, which was not that long. I think I got it done within like a weekend or so, which is pretty freaking wild. So it's going to stick with the old school vibe and the theme of the motor. Super not suspicious and just low key, but look cool and sound cool. I'm pretty excited. I'm excited for her to start a project and stuff. She motivates me a lot and encourages me a lot, so I'm gonna do the same thing to her, and hopefully we can get this done. I'm gonna try to film as much of it as I can, especially on this, since she's gonna be doing a lot of the work, which means I can do all the camera stuff, so that should be fun and new to me as well. before I forget, the plan of attack for doing this SU carb stuff is going to be making the intake. So we're going to do our own custom intake and fab it up. And I'll show that process and kind of what goes into it, or at least how I do things, which is a little bit old school. I learned from my dad, my grandfather. They're both hot rodders. I'm just doing it, you know, with Japanese cars. So, but hopefully you guys like that little update and like what's going to be happening to the old faithful wagon. And hopefully you're interested in watching my wife work on some cars and wrench on stuff, because that's going to be fun and entertaining to watch. But thanks for checking me out. Later, guys.